Good afternoon, everyone, and Happy New Year. It's Louise here from Eleanor Grace, and I'm here with the first video for this stitch along. So I hope you're looking forward to this. Please do comment on this as to what you've got ready and what bits you're planning, or perhaps what colour scheme you've got in mind. I've got my very helpful helper here, Ella, who is my black cat, just here. So she's just on the edge of the picture, and she's going to try and make her way in at some point, but I will carry on nonetheless, and we'll see how we get on. So as we sort of said in the initial videos, we're going to start off, before going on to the snippet roll, we're going to start off with Twinchies, which are 2-inch pieces, just backed by felt. So hopefully you will have had time to get some bits together, and if not, you may have organised to have one of my packs, which I've sent out. I have finished making these up now, but I do have some other bits that I'm going to upload to the Etsy shop in the next couple of weeks. So do keep an eye out, because they will have lots of little bits and bobs that you might want to add to your pieces. But basically, a lot of this can just come from your stash from offcuts, especially for the Twinchies. Or if you're doing them slightly bigger, you might be going for 3-inch squares, which would be Twinchies, I suppose, or even bigger. So whatever size you want to get started with, it's a really good project for beginners. So hopefully what you should have, if I move these out the way, is some squares. So I've got some Twinchies here. There's quite a few different fabrics. Some of you who've ordered the packs will recognise some of these. So I've got quite a lot of those, and in different colours and so on. And then I've got some Twinchies, which are the 3-inch ones. I've got a few of those left over. And then I've got some 4-inch ones here, as I don't know what we call those. Frenchies, I suppose. But whatever size you're working on, it's good to have, a variety of things, a variety of colours. And what I would say is, it is really nice to work outside of your usual colour scheme. So if you are someone like me who has tended to go for the pinks and greens and whites and creams, I have done that mostly here, but also I've got other colours together, as you can see, that are slightly out of my comfort zone, albeit there's green and pink here. I've got some blue, which I do love as well, and some yellows, and different other colours as well. And I'm going to cut out a few more for myself, because the packs were so popular. I know I need to cut some more out for me to get going as well. So you should have a little variety of things. Now, what I would say is a great idea to have a variety of fabrics. This is a very, very lovely, very thin piece of French cotton, vintage cotton, which is very fine. This is a faded bit of fabric, which is lovely. I've used it in lots of the packs, because it's a one with lots of different colours on it. It's got pink and green and yellow, but this bit is really, really faded, but I don't care, because I'm going to cover this up. So that's a little bit thicker piece of cotton there. You've got to remember, if you have something too thin, it is going to be harder to stitch into, or once you've stitched into it, you might find that it leaves a hole more than other fabrics do. The other things you can use are obviously some linen. I do have some linen, although I don't think I've got it here. I've got here. This is a piece of linen. It's a very rough sort of linen, but I have got also pieces in a sort of finer sort of weight. But this is going to be covered, so I don't really mind that that's a bit rough and ready looking. And then I've got this, which is a little piece of calico, which is again is great as a base layer. Not particularly attractive, but it's a bit cheaper than linen, and it's sometimes a little bit easier to get hold of. You will have seen, if you have got the packs, sometimes I've given you a variety of colours of linen, because I did have quite a few in stock. But the idea is to have a little play around, and I'm going to give you some themes. I'm going to give you 2 themes today, two little prompts today, and also on the group, if you're on the Facebook group Slow Stitching by Hand with Eleanor Grace, you will know that we do a monthly prompt. So I suggest, if you want to, we can add that into the stitch along as well, give you a bit of variety. And what I'll do is give you the first 2 prompts today, and I'll tell you about the monthly theme and then how we might be able to incorporate that. So with these pieces of fabric or linen or whatever you have, you also want to cut out some felt to back it. Now, if you're used to using something else, that's absolutely fine. I tend to prefer felt because it is this one is sort of thick enough to be give it a bit of weight and also stabilize the fabric on top. Anything too thin or too thick is either going to be hard to get through if it's thick, or it's not going to hold sometimes the shape or the weight of the amount of stitching you might want to do. So I tend to go for it, and this is just something I buy off Amazon on a roll, and it is a sort of medium weight. This one actually doesn't have wool in it, but it is actually quite good quality. If you're wanting to buy it in person, just check it's not too thin. This is, you know, this holds its shape very well, and a wool mix is ideal if you can get hold of that. So we will have a look at some of the ideas that we're going to be doing, and it's based on the 4 that I've already made. So I will tell you the themes, and then you can have a look and see whether you want to take this on. Now, if you just want to make some yourself, you don't need to worry about listening to me about my themes, etc. So but if you want to take part, it just a little bit of a prompt is nice sometimes to get you going. Apologies there, somebody started ringing me. Most of my friends know not to ring me when I'm doing a video, bless them. So these are the 4, this is as I say, the 4 that I'm going to use with the prompts, and we'll add in the monthly theme as well. So the first 2 prompts are going to be motifs and lace collage. So I'm going to put the other ones out the way. Okay, so lace collage. Now this is very much, these are 2 prompts that are really good for beginners. It is something that we do with our slow stitching as a rule. We do a sort of form of collage, or a lot of us do, and this is a sort of version of that, just using lace. So let me bring the camera down. If I don't want to bash Ella on the head with it, you will laugh. I just have to show you this. I'm keeping her at bay with a mouse, and it's my little pin cushion mouse, and it's actually just standing in front of her feet, so she's trying to stop it getting in the picture. So let's have a look at this one in more detail. So if you've got offcuts of pieces of lace or pieces of you know, a sort of fairly sturdy fabrics that you've got little pieces of, this is a really nice thing to do. As you can see, I've used the same colour scheme more or less. I haven't done too much because a lot of these pieces are very pretty and I don't need to sort of over embellish them. I'll show you a couple of them that I've got here. Let me just have a look. I think this is here we go. This one here is here, and what I've done is I've just literally applied these, pinned them in place, and sort of done a I'm just checking which side is the real one. Actually, I think that one is the right side. What I've done is just sort of piece them in place, and initially I did just a little basting or tacking stitch around with just long, for beginners, that's a sort of long running stitch, just to keep the pieces in place. Some of them you might actually pin as well until you start putting them on. And for this one, I've put it on here, and I've gone over the petals. They sort of suggested to me a chain stitch. So if you've looked at my videos, I do run through most of these stitches. So a chain stitch around each of these petals, and then in the centre I've just done some French knots, again in a similar colour, not exactly white, because you may want to show it up a little bit, and then I've just pieced together other things and tried a number of stitches. I'll zoom in a little bit just to show you, and see if I've got one of the other pieces. I don't think I have got the other one handy actually, but let me show you. So I tend to keep everything. I tend to keep little boxes of tiny scraps. I know some of you do as well. And so I've had little offcuts here, and I've just done a small amount of stitching over the top. In some cases you might not be able to see it too clearly because it is white on white, or sort of off-white on white. But I've tried to follow a pattern. For instance, this piece in the middle, I've left the edges of it loose, and I've put some French knots in the middle. And this one I've done the same. The sort of very edges of them are loose with some French knots in the middle. And underneath it is a piece of frankly not particularly attractive sort of greyish linen. So putting this on top has just transformed it really. I've done a little some little stitches there again, some more chain stitches with some stems. And also I have done a little, I think I've done a little zigzag stitch across here, but it's very hard for you to see with this and with the lighting. It's so dark at the moment, it's very hard to get the lighting correct. So let me just show you something else as well. These are the sort of bits that I've cut out. So where I've had a piece that's either a sort of lace roll, or it's got sort of parts to it, if I've chopped it up, I tend to keep little pieces. I'm going to zoom out, but we've got Ella here, so she's going to help us. She's overcome the mouse, and now she's trying to get in on the act. So these are all little pieces that I've thought I could cut up and use. I mean, this is tiny. It's got a beautiful little flower and a little bit. That's a bit of this here. So even these little offcuts, sometimes I keep and put together. And here we've got a little motif with a little flower, and I may well cut round that and just chop off the edge here. Otherwise, it is cut to the right sort of size, so I could just apply it straight on and then start stitching over the top. But if you don't often work with lace or work in these sort of shades, it is actually really nice to try something different. The thread I've used, as always, is cotton perlé, and these are a mixture of 8 and 12 cotton perlés, which are the things I use the most. So if you can get hold of those, it just makes your life easier. I find it a lot easier to work with than stranded cotton. But if you've got stranded cotton and that's what you work with, then that's absolutely fine as well. I'll show you another few pieces as well, talking about a lace. So lace doesn't particularly have to be white or cream. You could, there's another piece which is lovely. So a lot of people who've had packs will have had a little bit of this, which I absolutely adore. So I've got all sorts of offcuts here, as well as a bit of Ella's hair, which is very nice for her to give me that. So we've got a little bit of a green crochet lace trim. Got some lovely pinks. So you can sort of have a look at what you've got, and some of these you could just cut it to size for the 2 inch, or if it's a bit wider, 2.5, 3 inch, or whatever size you're working on. I'm going to move these out to show you a few more. So one of the things I have got quite a lot of is lace. So I'm definitely going to be putting some lace packs up on my Etsy shop. So do keep an eye on that. There's a little bit more of that one. Even a bit of blue, which is quite unusual. So these are all sort of things that you can use, and whatever you've got in your scraps, you don't have to sort of buy a pack if you don't you know, if you don't need to, if you've got lots to use up. So that is just a little idea. That's my first prompt, would be to try and do a lace collage, and in whatever colours you have or you can get hold of. And this, as I say, is it's really quite a challenge working in one colour, or more or less one colour, but it actually is it's actually quite enjoyable when you you know, get a result from it. So I love this little piece. Actually, I'm very fond of this. So that's my first prompt. My second prompt, as I said, is going to be motifs. Now, I know sometimes these are not always easy to get hold of, particularly the vintage ones. This was a little motif that I had, and I just loved the colours. I loved this green and bronze combination with the off-white around the edge. So I had a look at my fabrics and sort of found some pieces that I'd used on another project, and sort of overlaid them in a collage, and then went over the top with these little pieces of lace there, and this motif. Working with a motif is really nice because it gives you a focus, and I was trying to match the colours as best as I could, and as you can see, I don't think it was too bad of a job. The colour of the cotton perlé here is about, it's not quite coming out as clearly as it should, but this is about exactly as perfect a match to this green here. And the underneath colours, you know, it's giving that sort of bronze sort of idea. So that was something that was really nice. And finding a motif that fits can be difficult. Again, I will try and get some packs up, and I will have some bits that I will, you know, will put into there, so so that would help with that theme. But it's quite nice to start with something as a bit of inspiration, especially for beginners. It's it gives you an idea of what you might want to do. And I've not added too much to this because this motif really is so pretty. It says it all itself, really. And I've just done a little bit of feather stitch here, which I've got a little guide to how to do that, some French knots, there's a guide for that as well, and a bit of chain stitch up the side here. So by the time I did the French knots and added a couple of pieces here, that was a very simple one. It was quite a nice, easy one to do. So those are the two themes for the Twinchies. What we also talk about on the group, as I said before, is a monthly theme, and I thought it might be nice to incorporate that. I'm also thinking about leftovers. You know, after Christmas, you know, we're used to leftovers, aren't we, really? But leftover bits from projects. And a while ago, I'm sure you probably remember, or if you haven't seen it, do have a look at the video for it. We made little present toppers, and it was using circles of fabric. So these are some of my leftover ones. Let me lift this up without bashing Ella in the head. Sorry, Ella. There we go. And this is a really nice you know, idea to use up some of your circles. What I've actually done on this piece here underneath was used up some of these circles that I had left over from the present topper. So I'd already pre-cut them into, some of them are a bit dodgy circles, as you can see, but I'd already pre-cut them into different sizes, and underneath this motif I had overlapped some of these circles. So this is our theme of the month, is circles. It could be that you use up some of those leftovers that you've got and create a collage with that. That would work for the lace as well. It could be you could take circles another way. It could be a particular piece that you have that says it all. It could be you put on a Suffolk puff, which is a circular thing. It could be anything, really. What I've done also is done a little one I was just having a play with before I got started here, and I just drew out a circle with a heat erasable pen, and I just used a you could use a coin, or you could use I used the inside of a cardboard tube, and then obviously ironed it to get rid of the marks. But I thought it might be nice to do some circles. I'm feeling like this might you know, this might move in a way where I sort of do some interlinking circles here, or even overlapping circles. So it's just a little bit of extra inspiration for you to add to the others. So this is what we're going to concentrate on. We have got these three options. Now I know some of you are actually sort of jumping ahead, or you've made a snippet roll before, so you might be jumping ahead to the snippet roll. That's absolutely fine if that's what you want to do, but for those of us who haven't made one before, we're going to start small. So we're starting off with our Twinchies, or our Twinchies, or what did I say, Frenchies. And these are perfect little things you could applique onto something, so it's not something that you're making and you're not going to use. The other thing that I did do is, if you got one of the packs, you will have been asked, did you want a canvas? This is just a normal artist canvas. If I come out a little bit more. Oh, there we go. It's just a normal artist's canvas. Normally you just paint straight onto that. But I did realise that, you know, these do fit really nicely. And much as many of you will know, I'm not a fan of glue because of the environmental effects of it, but I thought I could probably attempt to stitch, just do a couple of stitches in to keep these on here. If you wanted to glue, of course, that's up to you. But yeah, I thought it might be a little fun thing that you could do, so you could actually then you know, have that's almost like it's been framed, isn't it, really, and put it up on the wall. So I'm going to make a few of them, and then just sort of decide what my favorite ones are and which ones I might want to display. I've got a little space next to my sofa where there's nothing on the wall, and I feel like I could really use something, you know, that I've made on there. So that will be the next thing that I'm going to be doing. And what else did I want to say to you? So the next video is going to be the same time next week. I will bring that back in actually, and I'm going to be going over the prompts for these two as well. What I will do then is give you a couple of weeks to have a go, to start doing some stitching. If you're on the group, please do share. The other thing that you could do, I know some of you are not on Facebook, but you may be on something like Instagram or Pinterest. And on those, if you wanted to tag me, so obviously my name's Louise, but my tag is Eleanor Grace, with capital E and a capital G, with a little hashtag. If you wanted to do hashtag Eleanor Grace, all one word, then I will probably be able to see it, and I'd love to see some of the work. For those of you on the group, you can just share in the Facebook group and we can see your lovely work. And I thought if I do the other prompts next week, it gives us all a couple of weeks then, and at the end of the month I will do a live session. So it's going to be on YouTube as normal, but I'm going to do it live, and I will do a bit of an introduction as well. And we will see how we get on. That one will be one where I'm actually talking a bit more, so I am a bit shy in coming forward. I don't really like being filmed, but I think it's worth it for us to have a little chat and see how we're getting on. And what I will do is just hold up the things I've been working on, but I wanted to leave you with a little look again at the general sort of idea of what we're going to be doing for the snippet rolls. Now, having sort of looked into these quite a lot, I have felt that there are different ways that you could do them. So I'm going to be showing you those different ways. But I thought I'd show you. I went away for Christmas, so I didn't get any stitching done really, which was a shame. This is, obviously I can't get it all on one page, because all in one shot, because this is one I've just sort of mocked up really, that I just got some of these 2.5 inch pieces, and I'll show you the little bit that I have done. Actually, was it that one? No, it was the other one. This is the one I've mocked up, which is squares. But I've also wanted to say, you know, I am, shall we say, a little bit of a rule breaker. I don't think it has to be squares. If you don't want to do squares, you could do any shape. And this was partly already made by my mum. She had put together some pieces because she's a quilter, hand quilter, and so I thought I'd use them and add to them. So I'm trying to work slightly out of my colours. I've got lots of blue in there, which I do love, but I just haven't really worked with it. And I've got some gold. There is a bit of green in there, but I have tried to stay away from my usuals. And I just thought I'll show you a couple of little stitches I've done. Obviously, we're not quite going on to this yet because we're doing the Twinchies, but I'll give you a little heads up. So I was trying to join the pieces together so they were then ready to be stitched. So here I've done a little, it's like a little zigzaggy chain stitch. I don't know if there's a particular name for this, but I just sort of made it up on the spur of the moment because I was wanting to ensure that both pieces were covered with a stitch. Here I've done one of my very fancy stitches, which I will be talking about later. It's, you could almost say it's upside down because it generally tends to be seen that way. And then here I've had a little bit of fun doing a type of, it's a type of running stitch with an undulating pattern on there and some French knots. So I haven't got very far. This one is, because it's such a lovely piece, I'm just doing some fly stitches down the side, and that's it. That's as far as I got. I didn't do very much, did I, over Christmas? I was too busy enjoying myself. Well, I just wanted to recap again on the prompts, and I will put them in the description as well. So if you, you know, if you need to just write that down or remember. So we've got 3 things to remember this week to start off with our Twinchies, and that is motifs. So the use of motifs, and as I say, we'll have some that will be able to go onto my Etsy shop in the next week or 2, and then lace collage. That's the other idea. And I will be doing a little more actual stitching with you, and there will be the odd extra little videos here and there, but I'm planning that next week, this time, same time, I'll release the second part of the prompts. Also, our theme for the month is circles, and that's there. So I know there's a lot of sort of information we talked about there, and it's a slow start, but this is meant to be for beginners as well, so I didn't want to make it too overwhelming. So just get some bits together, start having a little stitch, start having a little bit of fun putting together some bits, and I'd love to see what you do with it. Ella and I will be back next week. I'm sure she'll be helping me again. I'm just going to give you a little close up on her paws because I can't get her face in the, there we are, see how close she is, she's just there. So she's just wanting to be part of, it is named after her, so she is wanting to be part of the Eleanor Grace stitch along. So I hope you have a lovely weekend, everyone, and I'll see you again in a week. Okay, bye.